Hello, wonderful universe. It's Jennifer here at Astrology and Healing, and today we're going to be talking about the astrology of the Capricorn full moon. The Capricorn full moon is going to be July 3rd at 6:38 a.m. 2023. And of course, that's Central Standard Time, so adjust your clocks accordingly if you are doing any rituals that you want to do around the specific time, or just if you want to try and go see it. Let's talk about the notables. As always, this is just a snapshot of the sky, and there's energies always happening before and after, and it's going to affect you differently. In the overall larger story, it'll be the same for everyone, right? The same overall energies and how I read this. It's a story that I like to give. However, it's going to be impacting you specifically, directly in different ways because it's going to be in specific houses and in alignment or not alignment with your specific planets. So if you'd like to know more about how it impacts you, please reach out to me at Astrology and Healing and we can do a chart reading for you. So let's talk about the notables. And again, like I said, I do this so you can get a bigger feeling for the story since I only do videos every 2 weeks. That's actually really a long time and a lot of things can happen in that time, as we all know. So the first notable, of course, it's a full moon. And for those who may not do astrology, the full moon is the sun and the moon opposing each other in the sky and opposing each other in signs. Oppositions are tension. I also like to see them as opportunities, right? For in this case, I think of balance as almost like a scale. Like, how can we make that tension into something beautiful, like a string taut for music? And so in this, we have the nurturing energy of the Cancering sun and the more mature, maybe more disciplinarian energy of Capricorn. So we may see larger themes of people wanting to feel comfortable, yet they're being asked to mature. And this is really, pardon me, the larger story that I have when I get into the rest of it. But let's go to the next notable. So this is something I think it's important to say, and I might have said this before, is that the north node of the moon and the south node of the moon are in one. So the north node, Taurus, and then the south node, Scorpio. And this may not seem important to some, but this energy really influences us all really in a larger picture. The North Node is where we're going collectively. It's in a year and a half, it's in a sign, and then it shifts and shifts. And the South Node is something that's easy for us, but something that we should be kind of moving away from or releasing and letting go of in that time. And so these are opportunities when the nodes are in their sign, in the signs as it shifts, to go towards something and increase and to decrease something. And that's, of course, going to be very different for everybody depending on your sign and everything. But it's almost done being in Taurus and Scorpio in the next couple of weeks for 18 and a half years. And so, it'll return in like 9.5, but it's going to be flipped. So it'll be a releasing and a going towards of the other direction. And what does this mean? So in these next couple of weeks, let's try and really explore our value, what we value, the earth, the land, and the resources, and where can we release deep connections that devalue us, right? And that's Scorpio. Maybe letting go of things that we don't serve us or won't let us transform, or maybe we need to let go of an obsession with transformation. So there's a lot of different things that could be coming and going, including actual, energies, and like people have been more spirits crossing over, or deaths, as some people say, because Scorpio is about death and transformation, and its South Node was in there in this last year and a half, letting things go, time for some things to move on, but ultimately it's always for transformation. So take advantage of this time, especially if you're working with value around yourself, because that energy is like extra in there, and knowing you can do this on your own, that you actually have the things you need, and you are talented and are gifted. And also, if you're not respecting the resources that you have yourself or actually in your environment, start doing so, because nothing is permanent and finite. And so we should start to respect our water, our air, our food, because it doesn't guarantee that it's going to be here. So we might want to actually start paying attention to it and respecting it. Third notable is that we have 3 planets retrograde. I talked about this a little bit in the last video. More and more as the months are going to go on, are going to go retrograde. Right now, these are slower moving planets. Saturn, Pluto, and Neptune are all retrograde right now. And what that means is that they're closer. They're slowly getting closer to actually Earth, and their energy is amplified. Sometimes it makes things harder in those spheres to do, like Saturn is in Pisces, trying to tell us to get responsible for our spirituality, getting responsible maybe for how we express universal love and connect that way. And so what that's saying is like we might be reassessing how we do that. And there's a kind of the word retrograde, redoing some of these things. Pluto redoing our connection to power because it moved back into Capricorn, which was there for quite some time, 2007, up until just the spring. And there's a little bit of a dance for this next year. It's going back and forth, but then it won't be back again for 200 and some years, 268 years. So that's huge. And that's us transforming and working with our issues around authority, power. How do we use our power? How do we use our authority? How do we let others use it over us? It's a big dance, and we've been going through that. And you've seen our structures in America, at least, I know in other countries as well, being challenged. So we'll have themes of that happening again, but also within ourselves. And then we have Neptune also in Pisces retrograde. So again, reassessing the dream, and also maybe we're a little delusional and illusional on things. Maybe we have to get a little grounded. Maybe that Saturn will help us in Pisces as well, kind of counterbalance floating away, which is kind of a good thing. And going into just a last notable, really the chart is overall really harmonious, except for a little, well, not except, there's the full moon, which is always a tension. And then there's some aspects with Leo to Taurus. But everything else, the planets are in twos. And I mean, there's 2 planets in Capricorn, there's 2 planets in Pisces, there's 2 planets in Taurus, there's 2 planets in Cancer, and there's 2 planets in Leo. Now, all those signs except for Leo are earth and water. So to me, there's an overall energy of harmonious, like receiving and growing. And like, even if the planets aren't always happy in the sign that they're in or the place that they're in, they're all kind of talking to each other nice. Like, oh yeah, let's redo the structure, and let's work on that dream. And oh, here's our resources, and also like I can help nurture you, and you can support me. So I feel like there's a lot of harmonious energy, sans the Leo energy, which is fire, and that gets a little bit. I see it as kind of like the child who's a little impatient, or the king and queen who's like, now I want this now, I want this to happen now. Pay attention to me, because it's Venus and Mars very close to each other. A loose conjunction, really. Like they were conjunct earlier on directly, but it's like, I want this now. I desire this. And it's at odds with the energy in Taurus, which is actually Uranus, which is not so comfortable, like unexpected things. So I could see people kind of unexpectedly acting out, especially if it's around like their resources or what they value. Like, don't take that from me, or I want this, or I need this. And there's kind of this quick, I mean, this could be a global theme, right? But it could be personal too. And just kind of the childlike, yeah, give it to me. Or also entitlement, like, give it to me now. Not that we don't deserve to be seen and deserve to, like the Leo, the desire to express, but it's at odds with the Taurus energy. And really, it's kind of like an outlier to the rest of this story, really. So watch out for that theme and people getting a little bit impatient and like, I don't know, like the child who just wants, right? I think of Veruca's Salt, if you've ever watched Willy Wonka, I want it now. Which this moves me to the story that I saw when I looked at this chart. I don't want to talk too much about aspects as much as I was just thinking about like what a full moon is, and it's full of energy. And this is why sometimes people get, I don't want to say crazy, but like really tense, because the cup is full and there's no room to give, right? Like it's going to overflow if you put anything else in there. So there's a beautiful part that it is full, but it's not so beautiful that the cup's going to overflow. So when you think about this, it's the overflowing of nurturing, but also then of responsibility. And I saw overall the story of the child, the mother, and the grandmother. And I mean, we can talk archetypally, the child, the nurturer, and the elder, but you'll see why I use grandmother later on in the story. And so first, we've got this Cancer sun, and it's illuminating the gift of nurturing, and it's really wanting to focus in on taking care of others, but also wants comfort, right, and support in the home. And that's the sun. And then there's the moon, and that's Capricorn, and that speaks to us needing discipline and to mature and to grow and to feel self-sufficient, to kind of grow up a little bit. And so while we need this nurturing and we want to support and be safe, I feel like there's a part of us, or a part of the story, that's actually a child in here that's wanting to grow up. It's insane. It's like, maybe it's time for me to get up, get out of my comfort zone and do this myself. So like, yeah, I still want support, but it's time for me to test myself and get up and get out there. And I don't know why this came to me, but this is just the energy that I feel like there's a lot of supporting energy for us to be able to do that, but we have to be kind of brave enough to get up and get out there and mature. So it's kind of a calling to mature. And where the grandmother comes in is the book, The Moon Phase Astrology from Raven Calder. I love looking at what his names are for each and every moon. And this is the grandmother moon. And the grandmother comes in, and so like here you've got, you know, the fledgling, the child, innocence, and it brings exuberance, but a lot of, you know, lack of experience. And then there's a parent or a mother, someone who cares and wants to bring this up so, you know, successfully, but is still learning, right? Parents are still learning. They're not perfect, right? This is a learning lesson for them too. But then there's the elder. They may have been a parent or helped parent other people, and they have the wisdom. They have been in these stages. And so what I can say is that this grandmother is there to bring the wisdom to and perspective to both those generations below them. So what can we do at this time? You know, I'm going to drop onto the story for a little bit here. Honor your elders. This is a good time to go seek wisdom from an elder that you feel, especially a grandmother, if you can, so to speak, a grandmother figure. They have wisdom to share, and this is a good time to utilize it because this chart is so harmonious. I feel like that elder will give you insight and perspective that could really help you move forward in your life in general, in the areas of nurturing, in the areas of your value and resources, in the areas of your dream. They can help you with this because they have perspective and they've gone through a lot of this stuff. And also celebrate them. Just celebrate them, not just seek them out, celebrate them. And let's not say, oh, old people are old, right? In America, it's really overall, like, elders are not celebrated in a lot of the cultures here. And some they are, and I'm grateful for that. But a lot, they're not. So let's celebrate. 2, recognize where your child needs love, your inner child or the child around you, but also where do they need to grow up? Are you the parent in this situation? Are you the child? Or are you the elder? In this time frame, I do think that story will be swirling around for people, and it's good to recognize, do I need to have some support, but do I need to get out there and like have faith in myself and just jump out of the nest? Am I the parent who needs to continue to nurture, but also I need to back off a little bit, right? I need to let that baby bird try because I'm maybe crippling them by smothering them a little bit too much. Or am I the elder who's here to guide and be wise? And sometimes maybe the hats might be flipping, but I feel like this is just so strong in this chart. And then focus on nurturing your dream, taking the risk on yourself. This is some of the aspects that I see. Believing in yourself and knowing you the support you do need, right? Like believe in the circle of life, right? That I just talked about. It's there. The answers are there. The support is there. The wisdom is there. You don't have to know it all. Or if you do know it all, you know, you don't have to always tell everybody. But it's just be a part of a beautiful chain of, you know, generations. It's very ancestral. And like I said, the hard aspect with the Leo, just try to have patience. If it's the child that's being impatient, or a parent, or maybe even an elder, although elders tend to be calmer, or people around you, just kind of try and step back and not engage in the infantile actions of the person. And remember, it's probably because they are actually seeking nurturing. They're seeking comfort, even if it's a very old adult. Like there's an unmet need, and try to honor that. I'm not saying you have to give it to them necessarily, but just recognize it. With that, it's time to believe in yourself and to take those steps and to honor your elders. With that, I'm Jennifer at Eureka Astrology and Healing. If you like what I do, hit like, subscribe, check out my website if you're interested in any chart readings. May the plants ground you and the stars guide you. Ciao for now.